Welcome to the Level 1 Lounge, where we give our uneducated take on everything and everything gaming. I am your host, Agent Maverick. We have our regulars joining us today. We're going to do a little bit of another change from an introduction. So, we're going to talk about our favorite Christmas memories today. So, we're going to start off with Rock, if you want to share your favorite Christmas memory when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, for sure. I actually have two, unfortunately. So first one, woke up Christmas morning with like crust over my eyes. I was completely blind, was panicking a little bit, scratched out of my eyes, went into the living room, and there's a Nintendo sitting there. I was so excited. I've never even seen a Nintendo at that point, but it was plugged in, ready to go. I started playing Mario. It was amazing. And then the second one was the N64. And sorry, Mom, I actually found it in her closet before Christmas Day. So yeah, I was still super excited to open it and get playing it. But yeah, sorry, Mom.
For those that don't know, Rock and I actually grew up three doors down from each other. We've known each other for a very long time, 30 plus years. Let's not do the math. Um, anyways, I do remember going over to your place and you pulled me aside, hey, check this out. And you point out the system and we take off and make sure that your mom didn't see us sneaking around looking at it. She might have been in the backyard doing some work or something. I don't know what was going on, but yeah, I thought that was pretty great. I was excited for you, but I was also excited to be able to play the N64 with you. We spent a lot of time playing GoldenEye. I still remember having to use paint mode because
Yeah,
your mom wouldn't let us play it with just the regular mode. But, she'd go to bed, we turn it back on, we turn the paint mode off. I
yeah,
thought that was
always
great.
sneaky. Sorry, Mom, again.
Ryder, how about you?
Actually, I got a couple of good memories as well. Probably more recently was when you and the family helped get me my PS5 a couple of years last year, 2 years ago now.
That was last year.
Last
Yeah.
year.
Last year, yeah. But probably the most fond memory I have was probably about, let's say, 1987 to 1988. My dad had to go up north to work in the mines over Christmas, so my mom, my sister, and I we actually stayed at a friend of my mom's. Her parents were actually going to be gone over Christmas as well, so we figured, no sense in being alone. Why don't we just celebrate Christmas together? So. Um, yeah, that Christmas morning was when I got my very, very first gaming console that I ever played on. And I apologize for the gray hairs that this is going to give people here, but the very first console I got was an Atari 2600 Color. And that was like state of the art back then too. So I mean, yeah, you had the two little forks that you had to like you manually screw into the VHF and UHF on the back of those little TVs with the antennas. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, what games that it came with? I mean, the Asteroids. You had Pac-Man. You had Yar's Revenge, and the world's hardest game, E.T. Uh, yeah, if you know, you know. So yeah,
Yeah, I had
that would
ET as
be
well.
yeah, that was my fondest memory for Christmas gaming.
Just for those listening and watching, side note, Ryder is actually my brother-in-law, so that's why I helped him out with getting the system. He creates a lot of content on Twitch, and he's done some stuff on YouTube as well. Uh, so he was really excited for Final Fantasy 16 and various other games that were coming out on the PlayStation, and didn't have a system. So I went and I talked with the family, talked with grandma, talked with my uncle, talked with everyone I possibly could to get things arranged, and I was able to track one down. Um, one the thing is, they were so hard to come by. I actually tried getting one for him in July, and I thought it was going to take me months. It took me 3 days. So I had the PlayStation 5 sitting in my closet for 6 months before I was able to give it to him for Christmas. My family was so upset that I was able to find it that quick. But I said, I don't know how difficult it is to actually get it. Demand was high. still kind of at the time, but of course that's all tapered off. But yeah. Anyways, we'll move on. Irish Bandit, why don't you jump in and tell us your favorite Christmas memory?
Much like everybody else, I have like two that really stick out in my mind. The first one, it was like 1990, getting our first NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES is whatever anybody calls it. But that was more of a family system because I played it, my brother played it, my sister played it, my parents played it all the time, playing Tetris and Dr. Mario. But the first system I could really call my own was back in 2000 when I got the PlayStation 1, PS1. When the PlayStation 2 came out, Sony released a smaller version of the PlayStation. It was like that big. Let me try and get my hands in the frame here. It was like that big. Still as powerful as the normal PlayStation with the big, bulky gray one. Along with that, I got WWF Warzone. But I didn't get any memory cards with it either because I don't think my parents really understood you needed memory cards for this. This wasn't internal battery like the Nintendo games have, like Final Fantasy or Legend of Zelda. So the very next day on Boxing Day, good sales that day. So went to the store and picked up a couple memory cards. Even though I got WWF Warzone on Christmas Day, I found WWF Attitude, the latest WWF game. Got that as well, and I also picked up Final Fantasy VII as well as part of the greatest hits titles. And yeah, that was my Christmas. It was a great Christmas and fun times all around.
Oh, you know that talking about the PS1, it made me realize that was the original PlayStation Slim. It had
Yep.
one every
Yep,
year
it was.
since, so it's I totally even forgot about that model that came out. So thanks for sharing. Chewy, what about yourself?
Rob and I have interestingly very similar stories. I remember I don't remember the year, but I remember getting a family NES. Being the little brother, I'm sure I never actually had my controller plugged in. I was just sitting there. Brother's laughing at me. I'm positive that's how he did it. My favorite memory, again, maybe Bandit with the gray PlayStation. That was probably a year or two before that. I remember PlayStation 2 coming out right away, getting Crash Bandicoot Warped and kind of moving a TV into my room and crushing that. And then because I want to be a little bit more original, my original Xbox was a Boxing Day sale that I got up at 3 a.m, drove into town from the farm, got in line for 2 hours at our liquidation kind of store, and didn't actually get one. They only had about six in the store for door crashers, and I wasn't lucky enough. Came home kind of sad. Sister felt bad for giving me the advice about it, so she went and bought me one.
Nice.
So that's
we had
where
we had a lot of good memories with the Xboxes. I mean, uh, Chewy and I did volunteer work, which is how we met and became friends. But we used to have LAN parties all the time with our Xboxes. We'd have a bunch of people and have TVs set up in different rooms, like you see. Everyone's done basically, and we had so much fun with that.
yeah.
That's actually where my username kind of tied in a little bit as well. Was I used the codename Maverick whenever we were playing, and I'd hear them screaming from the other room, "Damn you, Maverick!" Whenever I take them out with a rocket launcher or sword or something. We had a lot of good times with the original Xbox. So mine, I actually have very similar stories. One a little bit different. Um, so mine was actually when I got the PlayStation One. Was a really good memory. I can't remember what year it was. One thing about me was I actually growing up, I was always a generation behind. I asked for Nintendo. My parents brought out the Atari from the basement. Uh, I was Super Nintendo came out. I asked for a Super Nintendo. They found a Nintendo at a grad sale. I asked for a Sega Genesis. I got I didn't get
Sega
anything at
CD.
that time. That was fine. I'd asked for a PlayStation. Got Sega. Asked for a PlayStation again. Got Sega CD.
Right. Yeah.
And that was always the way it ended up being until one year finally I got the PlayStation 1, the original one, the larger one, and it was such a great day. I remember playing Crash Warped constantly. I think I played that game for months straight. I couldn't get enough of it. The other memory I have was my grandmother was actually living out of town, and she couldn't make it in for Christmas. She had plans with her common law's family for Christmas Day, and she couldn't make it. So the idea was that everyone was going to go out of town and be there for Christmas Eve. The night before, I got so sick. My parents looked at me and said, "There is no way you are coming. You're staying home, sit on the couch, get some sleep." But they said, "Before we go," and at this point, my sister had a PlayStation 2. "Before we go, open this gift." And they handed me this large box. It was a large rectangle. Opened it up, was Guitar Hero 2. And I sat on the chair, just half dead, playing Guitar Hero 2 under a blanket. And
That,
I
that's
I
a,
played it straight for 7 or 8 hours. Fell in love with the Guitar Hero series, and I still remember when my sister got back from out of town right away. Was I want to play Dance Dance, and I got kicked off, and it ended up being a brawl for Guitar Hero. So that's the two memories I have that really come to mind. So, um, anyways, we'll move right along to our second segment, level one. We have some news to go over. So, welcome to level one. So, first piece of news that I'd like to discuss with you guys and hear your thoughts, opinions, and feelings is, first of all, we're going to talk about Activision. I know everyone's sick and tired of hearing and talking about Activision with the Xbox merger that's been happening, and it was an uphill battle for over a year. But they did actually settle a court case here within the last few days for the amount of $54 million. The article that I have is to settle gender discrimination lawsuit, which also agrees to ensure fair play and promotion practices. They were basically accused of paying off people and giving promotions to people that were in these categories that were having these issues. Um, and they settled it. To me, it seems like it was just, Xbox and Microsoft going, let's deal with this, get this out of the way before we get everything underway and before we start taking over. That's my thoughts and feelings. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Chewy, I want to see if you had anything to really add in regards to the situation.
Pretty much agree with you. He had mentioned he was going to step down anyways, so just get him out of the way. Let's move on.
Yeah. Well, and that was the next point that I was want to talk about as well, as Bobby Kotick is actually stepping down as of December 29th. It does feel like this is just Microsoft stepping in and saying, hey, we're going to start taking control of the company a little bit further. As to touch base on, they wanted him basically out of the way so that they could have your own creative processes. I don't know. I'm excited to see what direction they really go with the company now that they're going to be putting someone else in play. And I don't know. I'd like to hear some Game Pass news soon, hopefully, when it comes to this merger as well. Did anybody want to jump in and add anything about Bobby Kotick stepping down and how things are going to be moving forward?
you guys think at all? Probably not, but do you guys think at all maybe it's like some of the things to do with like the flack from, Chris Judge throwing shade and like how badly, well, not badly, like they've still made a lot of money, but like Diablo's getting not the greatest reviews and that stuff lately. So, think it has anything to do with that at all?
I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Irish Bandit. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I think more so. Oh no, it's totally fine. I think more so. It's with the sexual assault or whatever allegations. It seemed to me like from everything I've heard, Activision was like this big boys club, and
Absolutely.
there was really no progression for females within the ranks of Activision. So maybe this is a good thing that more female representation is going to emerge within Activision. Like maybe we can get a female CEO in to enact some changes around there.
No, and that's actually a really good point because they actually had females that stepped up into higher roles, and they were reviewing a lot of the allegations and things that were going on, and a lot of them within a few months just said, "I'm out."
Mhm.
This is, as you said, was absolutely a boys' club. So, and this is an allegation that's been going on for a while with Activision. It's also been an uphill fight too with Ubisoft, and
Yeah,
I mean,
because I've
it's
noticed a lot. So sorry, Mav, but I've noticed a lot with a lot of companies. It's really been like I said before, a boys' club, and they just I don't mean to get on my soapbox here, but it feels like that they can just get away with anything because it is such a male-oriented, dominated industry.
I absolutely agree with that. And I do believe that there needs to be a little bit more female representation, especially
Definitely.
with Activision under the Activision umbrella. I believe. I do feel that there are developers that are stepping up and making it a point to be more inclusive. And I just hope that Activision takes a few cues from those other companies and moves forward and makes it a little bit more progressive with the representation of women in the workplace, even, or in their games. Great. So if no one else has anything else to add in regards to that subject, we can move on here. The next biggest piece of news is Insomniac had some major leaks this
Oh,
week.
this news is
Um,
wild.
yeah, I it's I don't really want to talk about too much about the games. I kind of had a chat with everyone here as well. We feel that it may be a little bit damaging to them as well to actually talk about the actual releases. They're trying to cover everything up as much as they can, so I do want to kind of respect that. Um, there was some acknowledgement with, there were some leaks we can mention. Wolverine's been planned, so we can talk a little bit about that. And the leaks were heavily focused on Wolverine, and also with there is actually they've acknowledged that they have a contract and agreement in regards to X-Men in general up to 2035. So I also want to hear what games you would like to see come out of Insomniac that we may not know about, that what may not have been leaked up to that point, and what games you'd like to see as well when it comes to that. But let's anybody want to add in regards to the actual leaks themselves and what your thoughts and feelings are about the games themselves? Ryder, you look like you might have something there.
It's like I say, with what I do as a content creator, I see a lot of stuff regarding leaks all the time, but never really saw something kind of on this level, like this I guess grade of severity, if you want to call it that. So yeah, like it really really sucks. Like I really 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 feel bad for everybody at Insomniac because they're working so hard to do what they do and try and keep everything under wraps to make sure that all their information is correct, that their planning is correct. Their development is, isn't quite set in stone yet, so they don't want to, they don't want to set any expectations too early. So yeah, so having these leaks put out there and basically putting out a false narrative that these are the products that are coming. Yeah, no, it makes things really really hard on developers when people do things like this.
Absolutely. And I mean the games that were leaked are up to 2029. So it's extremely damaging, I find, to Insomniac. So I, I'm sure that they'll recover. And the thing is, at the same time with the leaks, I do feel that there is some excitement that's being generated. But I mean, it's Insomniac. The games that they've had some great games: Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales. Like, we could sit here talking about a lot of their games for a very long time. So there might be some excitement too, but it's just a shame that it happened when it wasn't on their terms. Tui, you're not along there. Did you want to say something in regards to this?
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. And in Insomniac, we trust. They're putting out gold right now. They're my favorite developer. I'm trying to avoid the leaks as much as possible. The last big leak that I had to avoid was Last of Us Part 2. I managed to get through that without having anything spoiled. This is like you said, 2029. It's going to be hard not to have something spoiled for me. I guess I'll just mute words on Twitter or X.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Irish Bandit, anything to add to that?
Anything to add to that? It's just like, wow. Like, did you hear what they were what the people who leaked all the stuff was trying to get for everything? Like something like $50 million. Like it
That's
equated
actually a
out
really
to
good
something like
question.
2 bitcoins or
Oh,
I
that's
think it was
more than
10
2
I
bitcoins.
think it was 10 bitcoins equivalent.
yeah, something
but
like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
nothing about Bitcoin, so
I think a
Well, I
bitcoin's
mean,
like
no.
42,000 right now or something.
yeah, it's
The
like
attackers
bitcoins. What do you
demanded
need 10
2 million.
bitcoins for?
Yeah.
Yeah, the attackers demanded 2 million in
Yeah, that's it.
ransom from Sony Insomniac Games. So I'm not even going to mention the name because I don't believe they deserve any credit at all
No,
for
they
the
don't.
hack.
I totally
Um,
agree with that.
So, how about let's talk about the games that we would like to see. Obviously, they had the contract for 2035 for X-Men games. Rock, I got to get some input here from you in regards to this. I know you were into X-Men a little bit, at least when we were growing up. So, what games would you like to see that are maybe tied to the X-Men universe?
I just think like an X-Men game in general would be cool. Like I think we played at your place back in the day on like Sega or something. You could switch between characters. There's like Nightcrawler and something like that would
Is
be
it
pretty neat.
Marvel Legends? I think is what it was. That might be it.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm blanking on that too,
I just
actually.
remember
But
Nightcrawler
yeah,
was the best character because you could just teleport all over the screen.
Yeah.
I think yeah, I actually I got so excited when I unlocked Blade. They had Blade as a character with Marvel, but that actually wouldn't be too bad. I'd love to be able to see top-down game like that from them. That's a great idea. How about you there, Ryder? What would you like to see that might be X-Men related?
If there's anything I would love to see, and again, I'm gonna start making people sprout gray hairs here. I would love to see them do a remaster or a remake of the original X-Men arcade game, like the side scroller beat 'em up.
Ooh,
I
good
lost
call.
so many quarters to that game back in the day. It was so much fun, but I would love to see Insomniac bring something like that back to life.
Just for the record, what's a quarter?
Half a phone call.
uh, all right, Chewy, what would you like to see?
I want to see an MCU version in game form.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. Irish Bandit, what do you think?
Well, we're already getting a Wolverine game, so I'm happy with that. But
Yeah.
if we're going strictly off of what we would like to see, why not take one of the old storylines from an X-Men comic and turn that into a video game, like the Mr. Sinister storyline? Turn that into a video game. That would be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or
that's
Apocalypse and get like how Angel became Archangel.
that'd be good.
Yeah.
I'm going to add one that they've already kind of done that I would like to not remade, but maybe done in another style. Is Deadpool. I mean, it's kind of
Ooh,
tied
yeah.
That would be
to
fun.
yes, and it kind of reminded me because you mentioned Mr. Sinister because he was the main villain in the one that I was thinking about from PlayStation 4. That one was fantastic. The storyline was great. Combat was lackluster, I found, but I mean, you had Nolan North doing the voice of Deadpool. It was an absolute blast playing that one. So I would love to see that.
Think of all the fourth wall breaks he would do.
Oh, he did it all the time in that game. If anyone has a chance to pick up that game, I highly recommend it. It's nothing but inappropriate jokes and yeah, fourth wall breaking. It's phenomenal.
If they were to do that, they
Um,
would have to get a cameo from Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would. It would be great.
We can dream.
I would
I'm
love
sure
to see
he'd
it.
do
So
it.
yeah, absolutely.
He loves that
Um,
character.
yeah, absolutely. And well, we could talk about Deadpool though for a while. So I think I might have just opened a can of worms here.
But this is a
So
video game podcast, not a comic book
yes,
podcast.
absolutely. One other thing that that I'd like to actually quickly do here as well before we get into the next part of the segment. We have an educational patch, which is I need to correct a mistake that I got wrong in the last podcast. Rock had mentioned that Hi-Fi Rush was partly developed by Bethesda. I looked it up and I mentioned the main developer, but Bethesda was actually involved in the development. So we may be uneducated, but we do like to be educated as we keep going forward. So, Rock, I appreciate you bringing that up and correcting me off the podcast. I wanted to make sure that that was actually brought up and done here as well. Uh, so the thing that we're all excited for here now, it's not only going to be the Christmas season, but we're also going into the New Year's, which also means there will be new games that we can discuss and that we're going to be excited for. So we actually came up with a list of games that we're all looking forward to playing, and we're going to kind of go through the list. We tried to set them up according to release date. Of course, there's certain ones that we ended up missing and adding onto the list a little bit later on. So the we'll kind of go through the list and get started here. So the first game that is listed here is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This is coming out on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on January 18th. Both Rock and I have listed this game as well. I do want to make sure that we all have a chance to kind of say something about it. So, Rock, I know that you've got some interest on that. So, do you want to talk about why you're excited for this one and what grabbed your attention about it?
Yeah. Did you mention Switch as well? But anyways.
Oh, no, I did not. Yes, it's also coming to Switch. Same date, January 18th. Thank you.
Yeah, it's such an old like game. Like it was back on like PCs and stuff. I remember playing that at my buddy Paul's place back in the day, and I think one of my first PlayStation games was the original Prince of Persia. What was that one called again? Sands of Time?
Sense of time. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great game. This one's a little different. It's like side scroller, but it looks like it's gonna have a lot of the same aspects as of the Sands of Time, so that'll be good. And I kind of like side scrollers on console, so that'll definitely be one I pick up on console as opposed to PC.
Fair enough. Yeah, it kind of, as I said, it kind of grabbed my attention a little bit as well. Now, I'm not big into side scrollers either, and I haven't played any of the Prince of Persias. I'm familiar with them. I'm very big into a series that was inspired by Prince of Persia, which we will discuss a little bit later. But this is a game that kind of grabbed my attention because it's not just seeming like to be linear combat. There's the fighting styles. You have clips and stuff that actually very action based, and I'm excited to see what ends up happening with it. So I will be looking at probably picking that one up as well. I've created my game backlog, so it might sit on my shelf for a little bit before I rush out and pick it up. But I might pull a rock and get that one on sale. So we'll move on to the next one. We're going to end up having a little bit of a segment on on remakes likely here going into the new year. But this is going to be The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Uh, I have the original one on PlayStation 4. It's coming with a $10 upgrade, so shell out $10 to get the haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, upgraded graphics. I will also say, for me, I took some issues with the game in regards to the storyline, and revisiting part one earlier this year with The Last of Us. Chewy and I actually did a co-stream uh, on YouTube called Clicker Bait, and we kind of went through the game together. And it gave me a different perspective of the character of Joel, which is going to, I think, change my outlook for part two. So I'm going to revisit with a little bit of my mind will be open a little bit more in regards to it. I personally feel that it shouldn't be remastered, but we'll get into that with the next podcast. Chewy, I know that The Last of Us Part 2 is pretty near and dear to your heart as well, with because it's part of your favorite series. Any takes on that one by any chance?
Uh, go for it. I've played it. I rarely replay stuff. I won't shell out the $10 for the upgrade, but if it gets it in people's hands, good. If it continues that, people that watch the show bought part one are gonna go get the remastered part two, that's great. That story is well rounded. I get your controversy with it, but they're telling different stories.
Yes, and I will agree with that, which is why I'm going to be, I think, going in with a little bit more of an open mind. And I think replaying one with that view, kind of going through that with you, actually really opened my mind in regards to that. So I thought that was great. So we'll move on to the next one. This one came up with the Game Awards, which was Exodus. This one is coming out on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. There is no release date yet, but Matthew McConaughey's in it. All right, all right, all right. So if Clark was,
You want to play my video
Rock,
game? Be a lot cooler if you did.
Yeah.
Rock, I think you've got a little bit more hype about this one than I do.
I'm super hyped about this one. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, so I looked into it quite a bit. So it's a sci-fi action adventure RPG, a little bit of a mouthful on the genre. Has Matthew McConaughey, yes. We don't know his role yet, hasn't really been announced, so that'd be interesting. It's not the main character. It's being developed by a brand new company, Archetype, which is founded by Wizards of the Coast, which is interesting, and it has a lot of former devs from BioWare, 343, and Naughty Dog devs. So you already know from the Naughty Dog, it's going to be a good story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's got James Olin, who's executive creative director. He's been game designer on Star Wars KOTOR, Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age Origins, Star Wars The Old Republic. Amazing games.
Hell of a pedigree.
Yeah, Chad Robinson, executive. He's done work on Star Wars The Old Republic, Anthem, and Mass Effect Andromeda. And the big one to me is this Drew Karpyshyn. He's the narrative director. He's a Canadian writer. He does video games, scenario writing, script writing, and he's a novelist. So he's done work on KOTOR, Mass Effect, Jade Empire, Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, and he's done some novels as well. So he's a fantastic writer. Beyond that, gameplay is going to be like a lot to do around like time dilation. So like a lot of your decisions that you make in game are going to have long-term effects. If you're going to make a decision, you're going to go do some work. You go find some technology in distant star systems, and then you're going to come back and things are going to be different. How that's different, it's going to be completely unique to everyone that plays it, because all your decisions make different reactions in the game. So that's kind of neat. It's create your own. What's that?
I was going to say you just got me even more excited for that game.
Yeah.
Okay, what was that line from Django Unchained? First you had my interest, or first you had my
curiosity.
Yeah,
Now
now
you
you
got
have
my
my
attention.
interest.
Yeah. It's also create your own character. So everyone likes making their own character. And there's even a telepathic pig. If you're interested in the telepathic pig, you can go to their website named
Okay,
Charlotte.
now I'm down. There's a
Yeah.
telepathic pig. I'm in.
Yeah. You can go check out their website. They got some lore on there, and one of them's about the telepathic pig. And also, if you sign up, if you guys are interested, I will refer you because we all get this as a founder. You get a free traveler's cloak once you start playing the game. So I can send you guys a referral code, and we'll all get it.
Do it up for sure. Just a little bit of a question here for you then as well, Rock. So there was actually some layoffs that happened with Wizards of the Coast last week.
Really?
There was
Yeah.
1,100 people that were laid off last week.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
that
read
is
about
going
that
to
too.
Horrible.
that is Hasbro that laid off Wizards of the Coast. Now I'm wondering and I'm hoping that it doesn't impact development of that game, but that
You'd
number
think.
is kind of scary.
That's a daunting number, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if some of those cuts are because they're starting this new entertainment company, you know?
It could be. I'm hoping I'm a little bit more on the optimistic side that it might have been more in regards to Magic the Gathering because they've been making a lot of changes in regards to the way that the cards have been playing out from what I've been reading. They added the Lord of the Rings and there's all of these different worlds that are colliding, and I don't know if fans are really too excited about all of those different worlds coming in. Like, I don't know, Smeagol coming up against a fight with a red dragon or something in Magic. It doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
stuff like that, I'm wondering if that's going to impact. I'm hoping not. I'm optimistic that it won't, but that number is very large and very daunting. So it's a little scary there. But I am still very much with you. I'm very excited to see what direction they're going, and hopefully their development isn't impacted with those layoffs. So, you catch, or sorry, Ryder, you did catch that win of those layoffs though as well though last week.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Little did I had no idea that all of those different minds that were working on that project actually now have me interested. I love the work of Drew Karpyshyn, especially because he is Canadian and because Star Wars: The Old Republic is one of my favorite MMOs from way back. But yeah, no, I caught wind on social media about the layoffs, and I think I think they are. It is centered more around the kind of kind of like their physical product division.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll affect the development side of things for Exodus, but like I said, at this stage, there's no real way to tell.
Fair enough. We've got a lot of games to cover, so we're just going to keep on moving. The next one that's on the list here comes out February 13th, which is Banishers Ghosts of Eden. I know Chew's excited for this one. I think I've been following things a little bit further with this one, so I'd like to discuss it a little bit here. What gets me excited is the relationship between the two characters, one being in the spirit world and then the other character as well being stuck in the physical. They have the intention of making sure that the spirits are going to the right places and are being dealt with. And the thing is, the intention of the game is that you're trying to decide if you're going to create bring the person back, your partner back, and banish so many spirits and take their energy to to resurrect her, which it goes against everything that the Banishers actually stand for. So, and there's going to be 5 different endings for this game, from what I understand. So, for me, I am excited to see them all. The other thing is you're going to be able to make decisions that also impact the game, maybe not to the extent that Exodus will, which is that you're going to be able to decide if a spirit's going to be banished or if you're going to ascend them. Basically make those decisions of where they're going to go in the afterlife. So for me, I'm very excited for it. The combat looks interesting enough. The combat's going to be interesting when it comes to the firearms because it's an old-fashioned flintlock. So you're only going to be able to fire it once, and the rest of the time you're going in there with a sword. So I'm excited to see what direction it's going to go. You also have control of the other character in the spirit realm and have some specialized attacks. So all of that is just it's exciting for me. So I'm looking forward to that. Chewy, what grabbed your attention for that one?
Mostly your excitement on it. It seems, you know what? Remember the Medium? I haven't played it, but
Yeah.
you have. It seems like it's built on that kind of like because the one person's in one world and they link to the other person, so you move in one realm what moves in the other. That seems to excite me. The mechanic of that excites me.
Yeah, and I would offer to lend it to you, but picking it up on Xbox this time around, so I'm going to get some use on the Series X. I think finally a little bit more this year. So I did have one that I wanted to talk about as well. I'll touch base on it really quick. Is the Tomb Raider Remastered series? This is also coming out February 14th. It's coming out on Switch, PC, PlayStation Plus, and Xbox. The only real reason why I'm really looking forward to this one is the fact that I've never really played the original. I got really big into the revamp and the story that they told with her being lost on the island, and I fell in love with those three games, and I thought they were great additions. If anybody does have a Series X and Game Pass, Shadow of the last one is actually on Game Pass right
Yeah,
now.
I saw
I
that.
recommend pick it up, play it. You don't necessarily need to play the other two in order to play it, but I highly recommend grabbing that one while it's there. It's a fantastic play.
I can't remember
Um,
when it was, but I remember that those Tomb Raider games were all free on Epic Games, so I picked them all up when they were free. So I will be playing them eventually.
nice,
They're
yeah,
great.
yeah. I'm looking forward to it. They enhanced the graphics a little bit. They haven't really changed things. It's not gonna be a full price game in Canada. It's listed at $39.99, I believe. So, I mean, for $40, 3 games, I think that's fairly good value. You don't really get that kind of price anymore. Um, so the next one that's come up is I apologize, Rock, if I got this one wrong, but I'm not familiar with this one. The Last Epoch.
Yeah, that's basically like a Diablo-esque game, like an action RPG. So I'll actually touch on this one and Path of Exile 2 at the same time because
Sure, go
they're
for it.
they're kind of this not the same game, but they're very similar in that they're just like action RPGs. You go in, you're starting off level 1, very low, but the power leveling is insane on both these games. And I'm mostly what I want to do is just play them and compare them to Diablo, which I've been following my whole life, and just be like, should I just like leave that behind and just play these games instead? You know?
Yeah, I mean, Diablo's been getting a lot of gripe and stuff the last little while as well. So, I mean, it'd be nice to get into something else to try it out. So, no, that sounds really good. The next one, I'm going to hand the reins over a little bit to Irish Bandit and to Ryder on this one. Don't get me wrong, I'm very excited for this one as well. This one
Oh, what
won
one? What
the
one is it?
most anticipated game of the year, most anticipated game. It, of course, is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So
I'll be back.
you know what? Irish Bandit's doing a dance. I'm going to let him take over here and start off to hear what he has to say in regards to this.
Well, I said in the spreadsheet, game of the year nominee at least, or game of the year, potential game of the year, and I stand by that. I think with everything
Seconded.
that I don't know if it's going to be everything we're expecting, but where the story left off in remake, this could go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
I know that they've said that with at least with the gold saucer section, anything could change, like depending on what happens during the course of the game up until that point. So, could the ending change as well? Like, I'm of one mind of where things happened in the original game for a reason, but with everything that happened in remake, what could happen? Could someone else end up sacrificing? There's just so many variables. I can't.
I think the
I don't know
biggest
where that's
question in
going.
fans' minds, for this is that event going to happen?
Yeah,
And
that's the big
for
one in my mind.
any fan knows exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see how that pans out. Ryder, what do you think? Let's hear
Oh
your thoughts
man.
and feelings about this.
Well, I gave a bit of my thoughts on the last episode. So if you guys wanted to see a couple more in depth portions of that, make sure you go watch the other episode.
And we're gonna have a podcast all about it coming
Yeah,
closer to
yeah,
release.
exactly.
So.
I think, yeah, like I said, there's so many variables that can happen here. It's so hard to say, what parts are they going to keep from the original and what parts are going to change. But I think probably one of the things that I'm super excited about, or probably the thing I'm most excited about, is seeing all the new environments come to life. So I mean, obviously we're on our way to which is probably where we're going to see the new Cloud flashback story. So I'm super excited to see that. And we're going to go deal with the Chocobo farm. We're going to go deal with the Midgar Zalam outside of the Mithril caves. Going into Junon, into Costa del Sol, into
That's what I'm looking forward
Nibelheim.
to.
Yeah, going into Nibelheim, into the Gold
Corel.
Saucer, and Corel and the Desert Prison. Yeah, like there's
Sound.
so yeah, absolutely. Someone's excited.
Oh, you think?
No, trust me.
absolutely
I'm just as excited. I'm just I'm trying to suppress my excitement here, but
Not me.
yeah, no, I could go on for hours and hours and hours about how many things I'm looking forward to in this game, but
And we don't have that kind of time, unfortunately. There, Ryder.
Unfortunately, no.
So
Yeah.
fortunately, this is still it's still longer than the Modern Warfare 3 campaign. So
Ah, Gotti.
wow.
got
Okay,
him.
now we're going to get slack from Activision, so thank you very much for that, Ryder. I mean, there's so much to it that I could discuss how excited I am for it as well, but I think that you two covered it so well that I'm not even going to bother. As mentioned, we had a discussion as well about we're going to have a podcast, kind of having a section at least focused on our thoughts and our feelings and our love for Final Fantasy. And I will be joined exclusively at this point in time, from what I'm aware of here, with Ryder and Irish Bandit. So we'll have a separate conversation about that in February. But at this point in time, we're going to just leave that right where it is. The other one that came up, and I see Rock has highlighted this one, kind of caught my attention as well, but I think this is going to be one that I'm going to be waiting for a review on. But Helldivers 2, that one is expected to drop on PC and PlayStation 5 February 8th.
Did you play the first one?
I have not.
Okay, so the reason I have it marked is because I'm not sure about the direction on this one. The good thing about Helldivers, the first one, was you could sit there and play couch co-op with a buddy. Now, their new approach, it's not top-down, it's first-person shooter type, so you can't do that couch co-op anymore, which to me was the whole draw to the game. It's just like a fun, casual game that you could level up and gain upgrades and stuff, but that's not going to be the same with this. You got to be online playing with your buddies.
Yeah. The one thing too, I hope I'm wrong with this. This is going to be, to me, it looks like this is going to be the closest that we're going to have to a third-person Starship Troopers game, which is one of the reasons why I'm like,
No, there's actually a
kind
Starship
of.
Troopers game out right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to look into that.
I think it's out already.
Yeah, that sounds okay. I'll take a look. But if that's true, I'm gonna have to check that out for sure. The next one that caught my attention, I'm going to touch on very, very briefly, because I have this one is on my list exclusively. Of course, I'm going to open the floor to anyone else that might be interested, which is Dragon's Dogma 2. I haven't followed the development too much about this one. It's a fantasy RPG. The first one was acclaimed and absolutely loved. The combat, though, in this one looks so good, has got my attention, and being able to customize your characters is something that's really grabbed my attention. That I'm kind of looking forward to seeing where things go with that. I am the only one that has really marked it off here on the list, but I'm following the newer games and development as things progress, and the showcase they had for that actually got me kind of excited to see a little bit more with the combat and the way that magic works and stuff too. So I don't have a whole lot to say about that one, but I'm not sure if anyone had anything to add in regards to that at all. So
It's
no. All
fantasy
right.
based,
Well,
so I might give it a shot. I might give it a look at least. Like one of my favorite streamers, Maximilian Dude, talks about it a bit, so it might be worth a look. Like I said, it's
fair enough.
fantasy based, and I like anything fantasy, so
Yeah,
not just final.
yeah. It's looks very good third person RPG, so it's gonna probably hit my list here pretty quick too. So um the next one that is hit my list here as well is Rise of the Ronin. Uh that's coming out on March 22nd as well. This one is on my watch list. The thing is that I'm going to be kind of keeping an eye out on is if it's going to be more Souls based. um, I kind of almost got the impression it might be a little bit more closer to something like Ghost of Tsushima. So it is kind of something that I'm going to be watching with interest. I'm not sure if it's going to be one that I am going to buy for sure. It is going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive. So we'll see what direction that one really goes. I hope to have some information on, but we'll going forward, but won't be covering that too much today. The next one on the list, unless anybody else had anything to say about Ronin, Last Ronin, no. Okay. Next one, I do want to hear Irish Bandit's thoughts on this one. It's actually DLC, the Destiny 2, the Final Shape. I'm going to say this. This is the only thing, the reason why I'm kind of touching base on this. I'm sure Irish Bandit will probably have the same view. I think it's old hat. I think Bungie needs to cut the ties and move on from
Yeah,
Destiny 2.
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. I am totally out of Destiny 2 after a personal incident that happened earlier this year. So I'm not even touching anything Destiny 2 at this time.
Yeah, and I know Bungie had some layoffs and stuff as well. They're really hurting and having some major issues here at this point too. So hopefully with Sony backing them up, they progressed and something actually happens. But I think that they may have some ideas for new IPs, which I hope is the case with Bungie, because I do think they're a great developer. I mean, they're responsible for starting off with Halo and creating Halo. And I mean, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 were good at launch. Like Destiny 1, Rock and I killed tons of time on that one, especially with the Rise of Iron when that one hit. Chewie and I played on multiple occasions as well, both versions. Of course, at launch of Destiny 2, he did join me for that as well, which wasn't really expecting him to basically just jump into my game the morning of release. So it's kind of old hat, so we won't stay on that as well. Uh, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is slated for September 9th. Hoping that release stays. This one has been delayed multiple times. Uh, Rock and I both have this one on our list, and I feel like I've talked enough. So let's get Rock in here so we can get a fresh voice in here.
Yeah, I think I played one. I played some kind of Space Marine game that was like basically looks like this. So I'm pretty sure I played one. It was really fun, and it was like the best part of it was playing with buddies. So I hope we can get together, play some co-op. It is like there's a solo campaign. You could play co-op, and you could do like a 3-player thing as well, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's the part that I'm most excited for is the 3-person co-op. We do actually have a mutual friend. that is also on Xbox. So I hope to not only drag him into this game, but also into this podcast at some point in time too, to hear his thoughts and opinions as well at some point if someone is unable to join us. So I know it's kind of not really on the list for many people here. I do see Rock had also mentioned South Park Snow Day.
Yeah, it's something I'll keep an eye on. It looks kind of like Smite-ish, like kind of MOBA type deal, which I've been a fan of for a while. I played like Heroes of New Earth and like League of Legends, all those games, and I really enjoy them. And I really enjoy South Park, so get a little hash of both. And I think that one too is like something you could play with your buddies as well. So if anybody's interested, offers open.
I almost took it as like it was almost like a battle royale type South Park game almost.
That's kind of what MOBAs are. Like you're stuck in
Okay.
an arena and you have to like use your abilities and accomplish goals. But I think it's going to be like almost campaigny as well. So it'll be a little bit of campaign, a little bit of MOBA.
I'm not big into battle royale games, but if I can huck snowballs covered in someone, hey, I'm in.
I'm pretty sure there's some farting and yeah,
It's South Park, so
yeah, yeah.
all over the place.
All right, so the next one, I really want to give the floor over here to Chewy to have a discussion about this one and kind of discuss this a bit, which is Wolverine. There is no release date on it. We have an idea with the leak, but I really don't want to be discussing that too much. So,
Neither does
Chewy,
Chewy.
your thoughts of
I mean, luckily I'm
Wolverine?
going in blind. I didn't see a leak. I don't know when it's coming out. Hopefully next year. Again, Insomniac is my golden ticket, so let's just shred people with some bone claws.
No, sounds good.
I'm down for that.
All right, so there is also going to be Star Wars Eclipse, which I think Ryder and Chewie had both signed off on as well.
Tell us about it.
Ryder,
Probably
you haven't heard. Ryder, haven't heard from you in a little bit.
Yeah. I think they only ever released kind of like a teaser trailer for it. So there's
Yeah, a
really
couple
not
years
much
ago.
known. Yeah, there's not really a whole lot known about it. And I think they were still looking at a 3 or 4 year time frame before it starts before we start seeing some release. So it might be another year or two yet before we see anything. But anything Star Wars, I'm going to be interested in. I mean, anybody that knows me knows that I am a huge Star Wars nerd. Everything from the Old Republic to the High Republic to the current movies to everything in between. So yeah, if it's Star Wars, I'm already interested.
Yeah, the
So
only homework I did on it was to make sure it wasn't canceled.
Yeah.
Do you know
Let's-
any like
is-
what kind
let's
of game
talk
it'll be at all?
I don't think there was any details on that either. It's just like I said, they just had the trailer, the teaser trailer, and that was it.
I actually have a little bit of information on that. It's actually being done by Quadric Dreams, who are responsible for Detroit Become Human, Heavy Rain. So it's going to be that kind of style of game. We are talking about Star Wars, so I think this is a great opportunity to jump forward just a little bit here in regards to the Star Wars games that are coming out. So the next big one that is listed here is Star Wars Outlaws and Star Wars Hunter. Star Wars Outlaw is going to be coming out on PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. As I said, no release date. I am very excited for this one as well. So I'm right up there with you as well.
I mean, it
for
just
that
sounds
one.
cool. Star Wars Outlaws. That just
I mean,
sounds awesome.
Right? Let
Playing
me
as a
be my own
smuggler?
Han Solo.
Yeah.
I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's a.
Yeah, we get the idea.
Go ahead.
I
All
know
right, go ahead.
a trailer made it seem like it wasn't to build your own character, but if it is, and I can play as my own Han Solo, I'm totally down.
He seems kind
I
of Han
think it's
Solo-ish.
yeah. I think it's a set character. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, still playing as a smuggler, I think is going to be pretty cool. Uh, so going back to the list here, so we had Wolverine, Star Wars Eclipse, and then Dune Awakening.
What?
Um,
Wait, Ryder, you had Hunters.
Yeah,
What kind of game is that?
Yeah.
I haven't read much into it yet, but again, like I said, has Star Wars automatically interested.
Yeah.
But I think if I remember briefly seeing some kind of snippet on it, that it may be more may revolve a little more around bounty hunters.
Okay.
The synopsis that I found here is set after the fall of the Galactic Empire. Star Wars hunters will bring players together in a sprawling team-based multiplayer battle. Such as the diverse cast of new characters, including bounty hunters, heroes, and the Rebellion and Imperial Stormtroopers. Star Wars Hunters will be free to download for the Nintendo Switch and on the App Store on Google Play in 2023. No other information is listed here as of yet.
Interesting.
Yeah. I did actually forget to cover one news story as well, but we'll just tie that in really quick here as well. Naughty Dog has actually canceled The Last of Us multiplayer. So for me, I think that this was a smart move. They're trying to get more focused uh, on single player games, which I think is kind of where Naughty Dog's bread and butter really is. I mean, you're talking about, they've created the original Crash Bandicoot. They've done Uncharted, The Last of Us. I know that these games that I just listed are also very near and dear to your heart. Why don't you tell us what your thoughts and feelings are about the cancellation of this project?
I mean, I'm for it if I think it was a Ryan driven initiative to have more multiplayer, more games as a service, live service games, which I'm not a fan of. So I'm all for it. Naughty Dog has their lane. If they don't want to branch from it, stay in your lane. Keep making me great games.
I've been
Kill live
hearing
service.
that yeah, I've been hearing that the one of the things that they're trying to focus on is an elite. I can't confirm nor deny anything. There's been a lot of thoughts that there might be working on a new Uncharted game, and it might be a female protagonist. Um, so we're I think it might potentially be Cassie Drake, which I think would be a great direction to go if, of course, they decide to go that way. Um, I know Rock was kind of mentioning as well that what this is going to mean for live service games. We got to keep in mind that I think Sony's talking that they have 14 live service games in the works in development right now. And so this is just one of the many games that they had on the go. So um, this state of it, I don't think it's going to be impacted too much. But I know you kind of were mentioning there was a little bit of concern that you had for live service games kind of dying off with this as well. There, Rock.
Yeah, like I can't see all of these live service games being successful. Some of them are going to die, and there's like a lot of money being put into them. It just seems like a big risk to be putting into such a big project that you want to be a big cash cow. That's basically what they are, right?
Yeah. I just think that personally, I think that Sony's kind of focusing on the wrong spot. I'm okay and happy with them canceling this project just for the simple fact that I feel that the single player games are kind of their bread and butter. I don't know if anyone else can contest to that though as well.
I agree.
No? Okay. All right. So we're gonna keep on moving then with the games that we're looking forward to. The next one I want to touch base on real quick, which is Stalker 2. This is going to be hitting Game Pass. I know it's going to be on Game Pass, but I really feel that this developer needs to be highlighted a little bit more. These people have had this game pushed back for multiple reasons, for very good reasons, and for a long time. For those that are unsure and haven't heard about this, but I'm sure it's been out there enough that a lot of people caught wind of it, is this development team is in the heart of the battle in the Ukraine, and they've gotten involved with actually fighting back against the Russians. So a video game is going to sit and wait, make sure that their home is safe. So I really want to tip my hats off to them, and they're still delivering us this game despite all of that. this year. Um, so for me, I know that it's going to be coming out on Game Pass. I might shell out the extra few bucks to make sure that they get a little bit more support because I really feel that they deserve it. Um, we haven't heard here from Chewy in a little bit. Did you want to add anything to that conversation?
We just heard from me.
Yeah, fair enough. No, but I wanted to see what
I
your
agree with
thoughts
your
were there
sentiment.
too.
You know, support these guys. Their delay is based on a war that they shouldn't be fighting.
Right.
I've never played Stalker. Probably scared of it, to be honest.
Fair enough.
I know for me, and I'm sure for all you guys as well, I will always support a delay over a game being released too quickly.
Absolutely. Oh.
Yeah.
The delays for a little while, suck us forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great sentiment. Yeah,
Yeah.
great sentiment. There's quite a few games here still on the list, but I feel like we're starting to run a little bit out of time, which I think was a concern that we all kind of had. So I'm gonna kind of skip over a few here. So I know that one game that we are all kind of looking forward to doesn't have a release date, and I'm sure we'll all jump on together to play. Will be more than likely Division 3. There's no release date or anything like that for that as of yet. Uh, that Ryder and Chu and I have jumped on that Division 2 a few times. I absolutely love the second one, and I actually didn't care for it at first. So I'm kind of looking forward to get into it again because it is something that eventually grew on me that I've enjoyed, have invested a lot of hours in. Ryder, your thoughts there on Division 3?
I'm looking forward to it. I never played the original Division. Just never got around to it, unfortunately. But I did. I did get a closed beta invite to the Division 2 PC version before it was released, and I was immediately hooked right from playing it. So I ended up getting it. Unfortunately, I couldn't stream it because unfortunately my PC hardware at the time just couldn't handle it. The game is very, very CPU heavy, which unfortunately drew a lot of the resources out of OBS, so I couldn't really stream it. But I ended up playing it off stream, played with a few friends here and there, had a lot of fun with it, so I'm definitely looking forward to Division 3 to see what they're going to do with it.
Louis, I know that you
Or
might have
before even that, I'm excited for Division Resurgence, the mobile game that's coming out. I think
Okay.
it's Resurgent, actually.
Yes.
It's a new story. It's based in New York like the first one, but it's a totally new character, new story. So I'm quite excited to play that one.
Might check
Fair
that out.
enough.
Do you guys think they released Division 2 too early? I remember playing it and like there was a bunch of bugs, a bunch of like workarounds and hacks. Well, not really hacks, but like people were exploiting the game.
I had an issue with the enemy AI, and that was the issue that I had when it first launched. I felt that it wasn't balanced enough myself when it was first released. So that I would agree with you to an extent. Um, but I do feel that they were kind of under a time crunch because I mean they pump out Assassin's Creed games like no one's business. So I mean it's it's something that I think that they wanted to really get out the door. So I would agree to an extent. Um, Yeah, so no, I would agree. So we're going to keep moving here because again, I feel like we're running out of time. I know that one Irish bandit really wanted to talk about this project, so I really want to give him the floor with this. Um, OD, we've seen
Yeah,
that
OD.
at
It's
yeah.
no. Go ahead.
I was going to say I know that we've seen the trailer for it at the Game Awards, and you've been excited ever since.
Well, it's the fact of Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele working on a game together. Like, it's going to take something miraculous for this to go wrong. These two minds working on it. So, I just want to know what it's going to be about. Like the trailer we saw at the Game Awards was so friggin' trippy, man. Like everybody just repeating the same line, and then you have like I don't know if you could call him an acting heavyweight like Udo Kier in it as well. So it's got some real potential behind it. I feel at least with all those names.
I think the biggest question that a lot of fans have is, what is it?
Yeah,
Because I
exactly.
mean, yeah, and I think that's what's gaining a lot of interest, and I think you've touched base on that. Like in the trailer, eh? Now what? I'm just wondering if it's going to end up being, something like how the walking simulator was Death Stranding, and what if there's going to be any kind of tie to that. So I don't know if it's going to hit my list, but I mean, if I could definitely understand why it's high up on yours for sure. Uh, there are a few other games that are on the list, but I do feel that we've taken enough time for today.
Order.
So I do think that we're going to also say from us to you, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And we really appreciate that you guys tune in. Of course, hit that like and subscribe and give us a follow there as well. So thanks for tuning in. We're going to power down. Enjoy your holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.
See you in the new year.